So if you have a Vistabule Teardrop trailer and you encounter problems with your cooler slide that slides in and out, I'm going to show you what's causing that problem, and I'm also going to show you how to replace the slides when you have that problem, if you need to replace them. So let's get started and get down to the root of this problem and solve it once and for good. Let's go. So let's start out and let me explain how we got here. The reason why I'm replacing these slides is because they failed, and this is what I went through on a current road trip with the Vistabule. So here's a piece hanging off here. I don't know what this goes to. And here's some other pieces we found that came out. So something's broken it. So we pulled over on the side of the road and we discovered that this slider for the cooler will not shut for whatever reason. Jason took a look at it for us, which was very nice of him, but it just won't consistently shut. And now we can't get it back in. So I have heard this happen to other people before. So here's my tip, my suggestion. There's 4 bolts underneath here. With a Phillips head, you can take off those 4 bolts. And if you look over here, you can obviously unplug the cord, and then you can lift this fridge right off the shelf here and take it out. So we still won't be able to get this back in because it's not going. So the next step is to take this off, which is kind of going to be a problem because it's an Allen wrench and I'm not sure we have an Allen wrench with us. So we found out that we do not need an Allen wrench. What we can do is we can loosen up the bottom of this frame here and take out, there was 1, 2, 3, I think 3 Phillips heads on each side, so we can actually get this out now. And now we can shut the door. So with a Phillips screwdriver, you are ready to go. Per the professional truck driver here, he doesn't have Allen wrenches with him either. All right, problem solved. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to replace these slides. And in the process of doing that, I'm also going to explain why I feel like these slides failed and how you can use them properly in the future. So I removed the cooler. There's actually 4 screws that hold the cooler in place here. And I removed that. That's very easy to do. You just pull this out like so, and then you crawl underneath here and you go ahead and take off the 4 bolts and then lift the cooler up. Now, after you do that, I went ahead and removed the slides from the unit themselves. There's 6 little screws that hold the slides in here. And because I had that problem on the road, I went ahead and removed those on the road. And so now they're detached. So now all I have is the bottom wood piece with the slides on the bottom. So let's take a look at this here real quickly. Here's our slides. And let me show you what I feel like's going on here. So when you go ahead and pull these out here, like so, let's go ahead and put this over here so you can see what's going on. So here's your slides. And this slides in and out. This is the bottom piece of the slide here. And this slides in and out, and then it locks into place. Well, there's a lever here that you can press, and it actually will slide it back in. Now, if you notice real closely here, let me get over here so you can see this. There is a piece right here. I'm wearing gloves because these slides are always greasy, a little bit greasy because they slide back and forth. And you can see as I pull the red lever, it lifts this piece up right here and it allows this to slide back into place. But you can see it's locked. How many times have you been pulling out your cooler or pushing it back in and it won't go? It locks in place just like this. What I've noticed as I tore this apart is that right here, if you watch this hand, which would be my right hand, if you let it go just a little bit, let it loose, you're able to slide it all the way in. Wow, that's pretty cool. Let me try this again. So pull the lever, extend it out the whole way. Again, watch this. You pull the lever and it lifts this up. But when you lift this up all the way, it sometimes will just lock right there. You see where it locks? Now I let off of it just a little bit and it slides in. So if you're having a problem getting the slide to work, don't pull it the entire way. When it gets stuck, let off of it about 1/4 of an inch, halfway, and then slide it in. And I think you're going to have better success. One more time. All the way out. I pull this red lever to pull it back in. It gets stuck. Don't like that. I release the red lever about 1/4 of an inch. Now it slides all the way in. Try that and you may have good success with it. The problem I'm having is the reason why I'm replacing my slides is because, let's look at this opposite one here. So this one here, it slides and locks out, but there's a metal piece that goes in here. So here's a metal piece right here. And what happens is that this metal piece connects to a plastic piece right here. And when you pull this lever, it actually pulls in this device here, this latch, which allows us to slide back in. Well, this metal piece that attaches to this red lever here actually broke. And I have the broken piece in here, and I'm going to show it to you. I have all my parts in the bag here. But I just want to show you so you know what it looks like. When I was on the road, I noticed this was on the ground below my cooler. So this is the piece right here that broke. So this piece connects to this rod here. Let me look down here. So you can see this one here actually has the metal rod in it. I don't know if you can see it there, but in the bottom here is where this metal rod is in place. Up here, it's missing, and it connects to this right here, and this piece broke off right here, which made this not work anymore, and this fell out also on the ground. So it destroyed the system on this side because it broke off this here. So there's really no way to fix this. At this stage, it's pretty much let's install new rails. Now that's what we're going to do next, is install new rails. And so I'm going to go ahead and actually put the new rails in here, and we'll go ahead and do that right now. So before I put the new rails in here, I just want to take a moment and kind of clean this up. Obviously, it hasn't been cleaned for a long time, so I'm going to tidy this up here and get it ready to install. By the way, I wanted to show you this right over here. This is a cool little tip. So this cable, it's actually not a cable, it's actually the plug for the cooler. It actually would get caught in the rails here when I'd slide the cooler back and forth. So I just got a little 3M tab right here and connected the cable or the wire to it. You can see right here there's some electrical tape on here because it was starting to fray the electrical wire because it would get stuck in the rails here. So I just tacked this on, and this now keeps the cord out of the way. So there's a little hack for you on that. So now that this is clean, let's go ahead and install our rails. So before we mount the rails to the trailer, we're actually going to mount the rails to the slide out piece first, just in case there's some overlap and we can't get underneath there to attach this last Phillips head here. Now, on one side, which is the other side here, let me show you, is actually a Allen bolt, and you have an Allen wrench to hold it in there. And then on the other side is a Phillips head. So I'm going to go through and take apart all these right now. So now let's go ahead and replace this first rail. I like to do one at a time, so if I need to look to see how the other one was installed, I can see there that that's done correctly. There's an arrow that's pointing towards the back. I'm going to match that arrow on this side. And I remembered when I took it off, it went in the first hole here. If you needed to check that, that's why I leave that other one here so you can see what hole it starts in. And what I do is I recommend taking some of this Loctite thread lock and actually putting this on the bolts, because when you're going down the road and things are rattling over time, it's going to loosen up. This is just going to help it keep it in place and snug. So I definitely recommend a little bottle of thread lock. Okay, now that this side is installed and all ready to go with thread lock on it, go ahead and push that back in and lock it in place. And now I'm just going to repeat the same step. I'm going to remove this one and do the same thing to replace this one on this side. Okay, so now that I have the rails installed in the back, I got this beautiful helper right here who just loves, actually she loves to help me with all my projects. She just jumps at it and says, Johnny, whatever I'm doing, I would love to help you work on the teardrop trailer because I enjoy it as much as you do. And if you believe that, I got some good swampland in Florida to sell you. Anyways, okay, so she's going to hold this for me. So now we're going to extend the shelf and the rails. And I'm going to go ahead and put this in here like this. She's going to hold this for me. And while she's holding that, I'm going to do the same thing I did when I installed the other rails. I'm going to use some thread lock and a screwdriver, and I'm going to attach these 6 screws. Let's go. Okay, I ran into a little trouble. What has happened is that you take these little screws and you screw them into the bottom piece here, and there's a threaded piece in there, aluminum thread that threads into these. Well, one of the thread pieces was pushed down, so I could not get the screw in there to attach. So I went ahead and took apart these 6 screws and was going to lift this piece of board up and push those threads through. But I think this board is glued down because once I took out these 6 bolts, this thing would not move and I didn't want to force it. So I was able to take the rails off, put a screw in there since I was a little lower than the slides, and bring it up by pulling up with a screw. So I think I got it up enough. So that's a little trouble I ran into. You may run into this trouble yourself. Let's continue on and do it over again and put this drawer and these slides in here. So now I have the rails installed to this piece. I took this piece and the rails and installed it into the trailer. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws that hold this into place. And now I'm ready for the last stage, which is to put the cooler on here and take these 4 screws and mount the cooler. I am not going to put Loctite on these. They tend to stay in, and I don't think it's much of a problem, and plus they're a lot easier to get to under here. So let's go ahead and put the cooler on and plug it in, and then I'm going to share with you my final comments and things that I learned and some things that I did wrong that will save you some time. Now sometimes when people are making a YouTube video, they always say, stick around for item number 4 so you can really see what happens. But I'm going to tell you, stick around till the end of the video. It's not to try to make you stay and watch the whole video, but I made a couple big mistakes that will save you tons of time if you learn from me. So watch these near the end, which will save you time, and you won't make the same mistakes I did. So one mistake I made, actually I made a couple of mistakes, but the first mistake I made is these sliders have a particular side. They have a right and a left. So when you install them, make sure when you install them that the lever moves to the outside wheel of the trailer. So this one should move to the right. This one should move to the left. When I had them installed the first time, I had to push them in to get to work. They still work, but that's not the correct way to install them. So you want them to push out to the outside wheel of the trailer. So make sure before you screw them down to this surface here, to this tray, that you have the left one on the left side and the right one on the right side. Now, left or right wouldn't matter if you marked it, so just remember it has to go out in the finished stage of the tray here. So that's tip number one to monitor and avoid putting them on incorrectly. So another mistake I made is when installing the sliders inside the trailer, there's these little rivets in there that have threads in them that you actually screw down the screws to attach the slider. Well, when I was on the road, I took those out. And what happened when you traveled over time with the bumps, those sliders or that rivets or that housing with those threads inside fell down a little bit. So the little screws are shorter than this one, and I couldn't get them to latch and grab those threads to actually tighten the rails to the wood on the trailer. So what I did is I went to Home Depot, and this is a same size of threads, just a longer one, way longer. This is a 10-24 thread type. So you can get one of those, and then you can actually put this in the hole, screw it in, and then pull it up so you get those thread housings to pull up, and then your little screw will screw in and attach the rails. Now, what I would recommend you do if you have to take your cooler off and your drawer out on the road because it won't shut like I had to do, then take those screws that already come with it and screw them in. That way it will hold them up when you're going down the road, and they won't bounce down and get loose and sink down to the bottom of the wood. But if you get one of these, a 10-24 screw thread, you can keep one of these handy when you do your install, screw it in, pull it up, problem solved. This is a nice little one to keep in the trailer. All right, so that's a wrap. I know I've talked to a lot of people and they have been having troubles with the sliders on the cooler. So this is a way to replace them, and that's a little trick to get them to slide in all the way by not clicking the sides out all the way, just a quarter of the way in. And I find most of the time it's going to slide right in for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this was helpful. I hope it actually saves you time because it took me a lot longer than I thought. And I wanted to pass on these time-saving tips to you so you could do it probably in half the time I did. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up, like, and subscribe to the channel. And as always, thanks for watching. And remember to get outside and adventure often.